Hi everyone, to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. I'll show you how to make my chicken burgers with sweet potato fries. The sweet potato fries are going to be prepared in the air fryer, so they're light and healthy. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to begin by making the sweet potatoes and preparing them because I read online that soaking the potato wedges in cold water for an hour helps them become very crispy when they're air fried. To be honest, I don't believe it, but we're going to see what happens. The only time I've had crispy sweet potato fries is when they're actually fried in oil, but we'll give this a shot so that way I'll say that I tried it. Okay, so I'll peel my potatoes. I have 4 large sweet potatoes here. I'll peel them and cut them into wedges. Make sure that you cut them into uniform pieces so that way they fry or bake evenly. Then we're gonna soak these in cold water while I prepare everything else. So moving on, we're gonna get the chicken patties ready. I usually buy already ground chicken thigh meat. I would not recommend using breast for this because breast is very, very dry. The chicken thigh meat stays really nice and juicy, and you're gonna thank me when you try these because they're so juicy and delicious. I'm going to grind the meat myself because I forgot to buy some ground chicken thighs, but it takes 2 seconds to do it in the food processor. But we'll grind the meat last first. I'll prepare everything else that's going in. So I'll peel an onion. This is a large onion. It's gonna add lots of flavor. Just get that peel off and cut it into wedges so that way it processes evenly in the food processor. I'll just slice these scallions here, thinly slice them all the way down to the white part and set them aside. We'll put the onion in the food processor. I don't like to add the whole onion to the food processor because it doesn't come out even. Some of the onion will melt and then we'll have like really big pieces. So I do it in 2 to 3 batches. Pulse the onion until it's finely chopped and then add it to a bowl along with garlic cloves. I like to add 2 to 4 garlic cloves. You measure that with your heart too. Make sure that they're already grated, or you can pulse them in the food processor if you don't already have grated garlic on hand. Next, I'm going to take a handful of fresh parsley and pulse that a few times until it's finely chopped and add that to the bowl. Now it's time to make the ground chicken. It's really easy to grind meat in a food processor. If you've never done it, you can just do it in a few seconds in here. We're just going to do the same thing. I have these boneless, skinless chicken thighs, 2 pounds of them. I'll put a few pieces in the food processor at a time so that way it processes evenly, and I'm just going to pulse this a few times until everything is finely chopped and resembles ground meat. So this is going to go in the big bowl along with all of the remaining ingredients. So we're going to add 3/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs. Unseasoned breadcrumbs are best. You don't have to use panko. You can use regular Italian breadcrumbs if you'd like. 1.5 teaspoons of salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, 2 heaping tablespoons of Greek yogurt, 2 teaspoons of dried thyme, and then I'll crack an egg on the side of the bowl and just whisk it up. Now I usually mix meatballs and things like that with my hands, but there's something about raw chicken that I just can't. I have to put gloves on. You can do this with clean hands too. Just mix everything really well until everything is properly combined and comes together. You can even add some feta cheese to this mixture. I was going to, and then I thought I'll leave it out and just add it to my burger at the end. You'll see how good it's gonna be the way we're gonna do it. But if you want to, you can add some feta cheese to this. You could add some sun-dried tomatoes. At this point, I'm gonna transfer the chicken patty mixture to my counter and I'll cut it into 8 equal portions. I realize that these portions are really big. So you can get 8 big patties out of this, or you can get 12 medium-sized patties. You can even make meatballs out of this. I'll leave it up to you, but go ahead and shape the patties into the size that you want. Transfer them to a baking tray or 2 that's lined with parchment paper, and then chill these either in the refrigerator or the freezer for about 30 minutes so that way they can set. And this is gonna help them hold together when we pan fry them later on. Moving on, we're gonna make the sauce. So the sauce for this is delicious. I've made this so many times on the channel for various recipes, but this is my yogurt dill sauce and it's really easy to make. And I'm gonna use this sauce for the burgers and as a dipping sauce for the sweet potatoes, so make extra, it's delicious. So you want some Greek yogurt, about 2 garlic cloves that are grated. Now we're gonna add a little bit of mayo, so half the amount of mayo or a little bit less. About 1 tablespoon or 2 of white vinegar. I love using white balsamic vinegar. I find that it has more flavor. Some freshly cracked black pepper, and then I'm gonna finely chop some fresh dill and add it in here. If you don't have fresh dill, you can definitely use dry dill instead. Mix that all up until everything's combined and set it aside. And then I'm gonna prepare all the toppings for the burger. I have some feta here, some baby lettuce leaves, but you can use regular romaine lettuce or iceberg lettuce for this. I'll slice up a tomato and put it in there, and then red onion is really nice in this too. I also have some pickles on my plate. That way everybody can assemble their burgers with their favorite toppings. Now it's time to make the sweet potatoes. So I'll drain the water from the potatoes, pat them really nice and dry with a paper towel to get all of that moisture off. And then we're gonna drizzle some olive oil over them, season with salt, freshly cracked black pepper. I like to put lots of garlic powder on them so that way they have a lot of flavor. And cumin goes really well with sweet potatoes. It adds a little bit of earthiness to it. So about a heaping teaspoon of cumin. You could add a little more if you'd like. Toss everything all together, and then I'm going to preheat my air fryer to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And these are going to bake in several batches. I have made the mistake before where I filled up that air fryer basket and then they're very soggy. So don't do that. Just put one even layer so that way the basket is not overcrowded with potatoes. And then these are going to bake for about 15 minutes or until they're crispy on the edges and fully cooked through. Transfer them to a big bowl, and each time you add the batch to the bowl, you can add some crushed dried oregano to the potatoes and just keep air frying them until they're all done. And I was right. These taste really good, but they're not like fried air fries, but they're still pretty delicious. I also like to top these with some crumbled feta while they're nice and warm so the feta can warm up a little bit. And that's it. The sweet potato fries are ready. We're going to pan fry our chicken patties now and then assemble the burners. So I have a cast iron skillet heating over medium heat. I'll add a little bit of olive oil to it, and then 3 patties fit in mine, but however many fit, you can just put them in there. And these are going to cook until they're nice and golden all around. It takes between 6 to 8 minutes per side for the really thick patties. If you're doing smaller patties, just keep an eye on them. About 4 or 5 minutes on each side should be perfect. If you have a meat thermometer, it's a good time to use it. And the internal temperature, once it reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit, they're ready. But right before it reaches that temperature, this is where I like to top them with some feta cheese. And I love to use muenster cheese for this, but you could use cheddar, mozzarella, whatever your favorite cheese is. Put it on top for that final minute, minute and a half of cooking so the cheeses soften and melt. And then when you assemble everything, it's just going to be so good. I like to assemble my burgers by first of all warming the buns in the same pan where all that flavor is, just until they're warmed through. I like to put a little bit of that dill sauce on the bottom bun, stack it with the lettuce, tomato, onion. You could add some pickles on the bottom or on top. Put that chicken burger on top and then a little bit more sauce on the top bun. You could add some pickles on top at this point and it is ready to serve. Look at how juicy it is. I'm gonna slice into it just so I could show you exactly how juicy it is. It's so delicious. It's time to eat it. Okay, so just like that, the burgers are ready, and I'll slice into them so I could show you how juicy they still are. That is the secret with using chicken thigh meat. It stays juicy. I've made them with chicken breast meat ground up, and trust me, it's like you're wasting chicken because they come out so dry and spongy and the texture is all wrong. The chicken thigh meat stays juicy and the whole thing is just so flavorful and delicious. You're gonna love it. Now, if you don't wanna grind up the chicken yourself, I get queasy when I grind up chicken, but I had to do it today. It's just so easy. I'm surprised I've never done it before. It's really not that bad. The food processor does all the work, but you can ask your butcher to do it. Or sometimes they sell it in the supermarket. It just depends where you live. But if you have to make these and you can't find them at the supermarket, it takes 2 seconds in the food processor and then stick that baby in the dishwasher and let the dishwasher deal with it. But these are delicious. You can make a bunch of these patties and freeze them. They're great to have on hand in the summertime when the kids are home and they want something quick to eat. You don't have to pan fry them. You can cook these in the oven. It takes a little bit longer at about 425 degrees Fahrenheit. 15-20 minutes is what it takes. Get a digital meat thermometer if you don't already have one because it takes the guessing work out of everything. Once you insert it, the center should read 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how you know it's ready, so that way you don't end up eating overcooked or undercooked chicken. You never want to eat undercooked chicken. It can make you sick. You can make these ahead of time, like I said, the patties, and freeze them. Once they're frozen solid, you can transfer them into freezer-safe bags, and they'll stay fresh in the freezer for 3 months. You can pop these in the air fryer frozen until they're fully cooked. It takes about 15 minutes or so, and it's just so easy to put a quick burger on the table that's healthy and delicious. Can't wait to try it. Oh my goodness. Best chicken burger I've ever had. all that Mediterranean flavor in there with the parsley and the onion, the scallions. You could taste everything, makes it taste so fresh. That chicken is juicy, juicy. Don't leave the breadcrumbs out. I know sometimes you want to make something low carb or whatever. It's just 3/4 of a cup. You can reduce it to maybe half a cup, but this makes a lot of burgers, so you just get really a few teaspoons of it in there. If you're gluten-free, I'm guessing they make gluten-free breadcrumbs. You can use those instead, but it really helps bind it together and hold it together. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. If you love feta, put that feta on there during the last minute like I did with the cheese. Delicious. I think you guys are gonna love it. Let me try the sweet potatoes. Definitely not like fries, but I love sweet potatoes. Soft on the inside and sort of crisp on the outside. There's a lot of flavor in them. I wouldn't call these fries. They're kind of like roasted potatoes. You really cannot get that French fry crispiness in any other way when you're trying to get French fries other than frying it with oil. But it's okay. These are roasted sweet potatoes. Let's just call them that. They're still delicious, very healthy. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. It's on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.